This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening, everyone. Tasmanians have gathered together in Hobart to show their support for sacked Cricket Australia employee Angela Williamson. A vocal crowd calling on the state government to provide greater access to surgical abortions in Tasmania, the same issue Ms Williamson was fighting for before losing her job.
Rallying for change, protesters demand low-cost abortions and quickly. Advocates say a lack of access has already had a devastating impact on women.
They're distressed, they feel powerless, they feel like the health system here doesn't care for them, and it's confusing.
The last low-cost provider of surgical abortions closed its doors in December. A new private provider to open in the state's south in October. In the meantime, women have been forced to travel to Melbourne for the procedure.
The access to terminations in Tasmania is pretty appalling at the moment. It is a legal procedure here. We have the legal right, the moral debate has been had.
With 40% of people in insecure work, there's going to be women for whom a paid sick leave day is just not a possibility. So we've got to have access to these services locally where women live.
I think there's many of us that think it's quite ridiculous that we're here having to speak up and have our voices heard today.
Last week, Cricket Australia employee Angela Williamson made international news when she was sacked from her government relations role for using Twitter to attack the government for not reinstating abortion services. Cricket Australia said previously it would not comment given the case was before the Fair Work Commission. A statement from Ms Williamson was read at the rally. She said, "Together we will tell the Tasmanian and Australian community that we aren't ashamed or afraid or embarrassed of our choices. I believe that what we're doing here today will go a long way to make this happen." The Health Minister said once the new abortion service is open later this year, funding will help cover costs for those who have to travel within the state for the procedure. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Police are yet to formally charge a 28-year-old man following the discovery of kilos of chemicals at a Hobart property yesterday. Police raided the unit on Friday night, finding a concerning amount of chemicals that police say could be dangerous if mixed. It's understood that bomb-making instructions were also discovered. Detectives conducted a series of controlled detonations in a nearby paddock and have since removed all the chemicals from the property. Police say the man is assisting with their inquiries. The University of Tasmania's annual Open Day has kicked off in Hobart, encouraging more than just school leavers to apply. Events and activities taking place throughout the Sandy Bay campus, inviting everyone to discuss future study options.
So if you're someone who's finishing school or almost finishing school, you can see the sorts of things you can actually do. But also if you're thinking of changing a career or want to look at something new, you can see what the opportunities are here at the university.
Open days will run at the Launceston and Burnie campuses next weekend. Well, cooked in pies or seared to perfection, Tasmania's sensational scallops have been on display at the first ever Scallop Fiesta in Bridport. The event hoping to sell the state as a premium producer as the industry fights cheap imports from overseas.
This is a seafood lover's heaven. Top shelf scallops served in as many styles as you please. A deliberate attempt to showcase the versatility and quality of our local product.
Our fishery is providing U-Butte clean green, the cleanest, greenest fish you can provide.
The industry is frustrated by some restaurants and retailers choosing imported scallops over the local product. Today is as much about selling Tasmania's premium image as it is feeding hungry fans. Tasmania produces thousands of kilos of scallop meat each year, and it's the job of the shell splitters to get it out. Jason Lowe and Yo-Yo Tang can split 26 scallops a minute between them. Not bad for two backpackers from Hong Kong who only picked up the craft while travelling through Bridport 5 years ago.
Focus, yeah. And because like after a long period of time of practicing, your body kind of like just naturally running through by itself.
The iconic scallop pie also had a platform. Murray Partridge baked them for 25 years before retiring. Today he took the job of taste tester, judging dozens of entries from across the state.
I like to see a whole scallop in the pie so that when you actually bite into the pie, you bite into a scallop, but also I don't like to see the flavouring overriding the taste of the scallop.
Scottsdale's Cottage Bakery won Best Mornay, while Flinders Island Bakery claimed Best Curried Pie. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
More than 120 Tasmanians go missing each year, and while the vast majority are quickly discovered, some are never found. Today is the start of National Missing Persons Week, and Tasmania Police needs your help.
The last time Jason saw his father was 10 years ago.
He loved his grandkids and, loved playing bowls and, loved being part of the Sheffield community. So, he was pretty fun bloke to be around.
Today is the first day of National Missing Persons Week. Among those never found, 163 Tasmanians. Jason's father, Nicola Solis, was last seen in November 2008 at Sheffield. Neither he or his car have ever been found.
Your life just gets turned upside down very quickly. At first you don't know what to do.
He is still greatly missed, the family now running a Facebook page in an attempt to locate their much-loved father.
We don't have any new information, but the information that we do have gets back out into the public again, makes people aware that we're still looking.
This year, Tasmania Police has highlighted 7 missing persons cases to mark the week. Nicola Solis, Nasrawi Walder McKell, Dale Godfrey, Helen Munnings, Peter Hendrich, Rachel Funari and Dale Nicholson. Nationally, the Missing Persons Advocacy Network has launched the Unmissable campaign for the week, putting the faces of 6 long-term missing Australians on coffee cups to be sold at Melbourne cafes. Nicola Solis features on this cup, giving the case national recognition. Anyone with information on a missing person is urged to contact police or Crime Stoppers. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania's proposed NBL team has today announced a new mascot. The Southern Huskies will now be fronted by Mawson, the giant husky, named in honour of the Tasmanian Antarctic explorer.
The whole thing with the Southern Huskies brand is we want to embrace this fantastic era of heroic exploration that Tasmania has deep linkages to.
Foundation memberships recently went on sale for the team, which is lobbying for inclusion in the national competition. The Australian Antarctic Festival has wrapped up in Hobart with 4 days of interactive exhibitions and experiences. The festival showcasing the state's capital as the gateway to the Antarctic, displaying equipment and machinery from local businesses.
This state-of-the-art chopper is usually flying over the Southern Ocean. Today, parked inside with a back seat full of kids, on display for the Australian Antarctic Festival.
I think we've probably had several hundred children through here today. They've been very interested. So it's nice to see them out here having a look around.
Helicopter Resources supply these aircrafts to the Australian Antarctic Division, just one of the many Tasmanian businesses featured in this year's festival.
I think it's good for public perception. We don't get out in the public eye too much, so it's nice for everyone to see what happens down there. There's a lot of local businesses here that support the Antarctic effort. We're just one of them.
Another local company has been creating giant trailers for over 20 years, used by the Antarctic Division and international organisations.
In our trailer systems, it's a very low maintenance and higher productivity. We can get bigger loads on, and hence we've built a reputation in that.
The transport gear provides fuel, supplies and building equipment to Antarctic bases, all designed and built here in Hobart.
Our reason to set the display up here is just to show Tasmanians that we can design and manufacture in Tasmania. It creates employment, it creates wealth.
A celebration of the state's thriving Antarctic industry. Ruby Kamain, Southern Cross News.
Launceston City has claimed bragging rights in the NPL after beating crosstown rival Northern Rangers 4-1, while Devonport Strikers have had a win ahead of their looming FFA Cup clash. In 2 days' time, Devonport Strikers will face Northcote in the first round of the FFA Cup, and the side has had a perfect lead-in, consolidating top spot on the NPL ladder with a convincing 3-0 win over Hobart Zebras at a boggy Valley Road. Joel Stone hitting the back of the net twice in the win and celebrating with a belly flop slide through the mud. It puts the side in the box seat for this year's NPL title. Conditions were far cleaner at the Den as Olympia boosted morale with a 4-0 win over Kingborough. Joffrey Nkoso doing the damage with a superb hat-trick. And in the final game of the round, South Hobart has resoundingly beaten Clarence 7-1. South had the first goal of the game after just 3 minutes of play. 6 different goal scorers joined in the party for the team. The win sees South sitting third on the table, while Clarence remains without a win after 17 rounds. Meanwhile, the all-conquering Kingborough has claimed another AFL Masters title at Blunston Arena. The Tigers winning 7-5-47 over Lauderdale, which could only manage a single point. It's another page in the side's dominant dossier. Kingborough has now played in the last 11 Masters Grand Finals, winning all but one. And the Seabull preliminary finals are locked in. The Launceston Tornadoes will play Nunawading in front of a sold-out Elphin Stadium on Saturday night. The Tawns lost to Nunawading last time they played in round 9. While the Hobart Chargers will host Geelong in front of 3,000 fans. When those two sides last played, the Chargers beat Geelong by 6 points.
Good evening. Rain fell across most of the state this morning before clearing to a fine and partly cloudy day. Hobart reached a top of 17 degrees. It was 16 in Launceston and 15 in Burnie and Devonport. 19 degrees was the state's top temperature at Friendly Beaches. Flinders Island, St Helens, Grove and Ouse all reached 17. King Island, Smithton and Strawn 16. 15 was the top for Maria Island. And it was 14 at Lowhead and just 5 at Lyowini. Looking to the skies now, and patchy middle clouds sat over the state, with more extensive cover over the coast in the west and south. Zooming out, a cold front sat under South Australia, pushing cloud towards Tasmania. To the west of that front, an extensive area of cold unstable cloud can be seen under the Bight and southern parts of WA. Tomorrow, the cold front crosses Tasmania and the eastern states, while multiple low centres pass to the south. To the coastal waters, northerly winds reaching 30 knots about the north and west before shifting westerly at 15 to 25 knots in the early afternoon. Swells to 5 metres in the west and south. And with those winds, we have a strong wind warning for the entire Tasmanian coast. And there'll be rain all across the state tomorrow. Hobart a top of 13, Dover 12 degrees, Ouse 11. Launceston and Devonport both with a top of 13, 11 for Scottsdale. Burnie 13 degrees, Strawn and Stanley both looking at a top of 12. St Helens 13, Swansea 15 and 12 the top for Ross. The wet weather will continue on Tuesday with showers about the northwest and far south and rain extending statewide during the evening. More rain on Wednesday with snowfalls above 900 metres in the evening, and Thursday showers about the west and north but mainly fine elsewhere. Looking further north tomorrow, Perth, cloudy, a top of 18, showers for Melbourne and Adelaide, both 13 degrees, a shower for Brisbane also, and a partly cloudy day for Sydney with a top of 20. But right now in Hobart, it's 12 degrees, mostly fine, Launceston 11 and fine, Devonport fine also. And that's all the weather for tonight. I hope you're going to stay indoors and out of that rain tomorrow, Rach.
Oh, if only we could send some of it up north to those drought-stricken farmers. Thank you for that, Brit. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Good night.